Hey, this is Toby. Today I will show you how to calculate dynamic positions in mql5. I already did a video on this topic, but today I will show you a more reliable way to calculate the positions. This will work on more brokers, also for commodities, indices, and of course forex. In the end, we will also do a back test. And yeah, let's go to the Visual Studio Code editor and we start coding. Okay, so for this tutorial, I use the time range EA file we coded here on the channel. So specifically the time range EA dynamic lot size trading stop loss file. I will link the first part for this EA up here. It's all here on my YouTube channel. But you can use your own EA and just code the two functions, the calculate lot function and the check lot function, and implement this into your own EA. Okay, I just copied all the code and named the file version 2 here, and here we will change the two functions. So the problem for the current version here is that these broker properties are not set correctly for all brokers, especially for indices and also commodities. So we will change this, not use the tick value, for example, to calculate the lot size, to make it more reliable also for indices and commodities. And we will also change a little bit the check lot function too. Okay, I will just collapse this here on the side. And let's start with the calculate lot function. Okay, so here, first of all, we will have different parameters here for the function. So first of all, we want to add a order type. So this is of type enum order type. And we will name this parameter just order type. Next, we will have a parameter to specify the open price of the position. So this is of type double. Let's just name it open price. And then a price for the stop loss. Right now we have here the stop loss distance, which was the distance between the open price and the stop loss, but we just want the stop loss price. So we changed the variable name here to price stop loss maybe. And we still keep the lots parameter here by reference. So this is, we call this function later and we will get back the value here with this parameter lots. Okay, it's still a Boolean function, so we can do some error handling. And now first of all here, we set the lots parameter to 0. This is still the same. We check for the lot mode. So if it's fixed, we just want to set the lots parameter to our input parameter and return basically in the end. If you remember, in this EA, we have different options to set the lot size. So a fixed mode where we just set 0.01, a mode where we say we want to risk, for example, $100 per trade. That's where we need to calculate the lot size, and of course also in percent of the account. So let's go back to the function, and here for this else statement, we can clear out all the code and write our new method here. So this is now either in money or in percent of the account. For this, we want to declare two new variables called profit, initialize this with 0, and another of the type double, max volume, also initialize with 0. And first of all, we want to get the maximum allowed volume of the current symbol. So for this, exclamation mark, and we use the symbol info double. And here our current symbol underscore symbol, and the property is symbol, it's called volume max here, and we store the result in our max volume variable. Okay, if this call here returns false, we want to print out an error message for the user. So we can just write print and, for example, failed to get max volume like this. And we also want to return false here for this calculate lots function. Okay, so we have the max volume now in our variable. Next, we want to check if the max volume is 0 or less than 0. For example, if the broker property is not set correctly and returns a volume of 0, for example, we want to catch that with another if statement. If max volume here is, let's say, less or equal to 0, we also want to print a message. Let's say max volume is less or equal 0. And also return false. Okay, now we are sure that we have the max volume in our variable here and it's a correct value. And next we can calculate the profit. For this I will just write a comment, maybe here. Calculate profit with max volume for highest accuracy. Because if we just used a low volume, there might be some rounding errors or mistakes. So we'll just use the max volume to get the highest accuracy when we call this function here. And the function is called, this is a built-in MetaTrader 5 function. It's called order calc profit. Here you can see all the parameters. So first of all, the order type, and we will just use our order type variable here. We set when we call the function here. And next variable or parameter we need to set is the symbol. So we just use the current symbol with underscore symbol. And next is the max volume. Now we can use our max volume variable. The price open. This is also our price open parameter. Open price. Sorry. Open price. And next the close price. Now the close price of the position will be the stop loss. So we can just write price stop loss. And last one, we get the profit back here because we passed this as a reference. So we will just use our profit variable we declared here. Okay, so that's it. We also check here if this function returns false. So very important, add this exclamation mark here in the beginning. So if it returns false, we want to print out a message for the user. Just failed to calculate profit, and also return false. You can always read more about the function if you highlight this and press F1. This works in the default meta editor and also in this Visual Studio Code editor. But right now I have a little bit a problem with my multiple screen setup here. But we get this here. So you can read about the function or the parameters in more detail. There's also an example here, so pretty helpful if you want to learn more about this function. Okay, now we calculate the profit and now we want to check the value. So we do a check here if profit is greater than 0. We also want to return false because for our case here, of course, if the close price of the position is the stop loss, we always have a negative result. So it should not be positive here, the profit. And let's also print here maybe profit is greater 0, can't calculate volume. and also return false. Okay. And next, we use the profit here to calculate the risk or the lot size. For this, I write another comment here, calculate risk in money, because we need to do this if we have set the lot mode to money or percentage of the account. So here, double risk money, a new variable. And here now, depending on the lot mode, we do a different calculation. Input lot mode, if that is equal to lot mode money, we want to set this variable here, the risk money variable, to input lots, because here we now store the dollar amount we want to risk per trade. So this can be, for example, $100. And else we calculate the percentage. So account info double account. I will use the equity to calculate the percentage. And we multiply this by the input lots parameter, and we multiply this also by 0.01, because if the user enters, for example, 1, here this should be 1% of the account equity, so that's why we multiply by 0.01. Okay, now we set here this risk money variable depending on the lot mode, and we can use it now for both lot modes. And I will write another comment here, calculate the actual lot size. And we use now our parameter that we passed by reference. Here our lots parameter. And we set this to risk money. And we divide this by math absolute. So the absolute value profit divided by our max volume. Like this, because profit is negative, we use the absolute value here, divide this by the max volume, just make sure that these are both doubles. Yeah, so this is fine. We don't have integer division and a semicolon. And now we should be done here with this else body. So here, maybe let me increase the screen here a little bit. So here, if the lot mode is fixed, we just use the input, and else we get the max volume, calculate the profit of the position we want to open, and use that to calculate the lot size. And in the end, we also check the lot size to make sure it's not, or it's inside the minimum and maximum volume, and also fits the step size of the symbol. But before we do this next function here, I want to compile. So first of all, I save the file here, and I'm not able to compile right now because we call this calculate lots function here in our check breakouts function. So I will comment this out for now here, and also for the short or sell positions here. And now we should be able to compile. Let's see if we got any mistakes. So there are 2 warnings that we don't initialize lots, which is fine. This will go away once we call the function. But here's a error message. Yeah, we have the bracket here. So we don't actually need the bracket in the end. And here, so we just have a bracket around account equity to get the double value. And now we should be able to compile without any mistakes. So if I compile here in the Visual Studio Code editor, you can just compile, but you can also compile using a script. This will open the meta editor for a few seconds and will compile the code this way. Yeah, it will also update in the MetaTrader 5 platform. Okay, so no mistakes. The 2 warnings will go away later. And now we can take a look at the check lots function here. Okay, now here we also want to get the properties of min, max, and step, but we will do some additional checks to make sure we get correct values here. So let's change this to a if statement with an exclamation mark. Symbol in for double, we get the minimum volume. And before these 3 if statements here, we want to declare a few variables of type double step. We initialize this with 1, double minimum. We initialize this with 0 and double max also with 0. I think you can also just divide them by comma, but I will do it this way. So now we use the variable minimum here. So we get that back. So we get the value into this variable. And if this returns false, we print a message. And let's say failed to get symbol information. Or let's specify symbol min volume here, and we also return false. I will do this just in one line here. And basically what we can do, we can now copy this for the volume max and volume step. So 3 times we change the property here, volume max, the variable to max, volume step, variable step. And we also change the print statement here, max and step. Okay. Like this. So now we get the minimum, maximum, and step value from the symbol. And we check also if this call was successful. Next, we want to check the values. So we write a if statement here. If our lots is less than the minimum, and we get the lots here with our parameter. We call this inside our previous function, the calculate lots function here. And now we check if this is below minimum. We also print out a message. Maybe we don't want to throw a error message, but continue trading, but set the volume to the minimum allowed volume. So we can write print lot. We already have this here. So I will just use this. Lot size will be set to the minimum allowed volume. Maybe some additional info here. So we can write a comma and print out the value of lots as a string here, lots, and maybe also the minimum allowed value. String minimum, like this. Yeah, I think this should be fine. And we want to set now the value to the minimum value. And now we return true here. Of course, you can also say, okay, I want to return false. I don't want to continue to trade if the calculated lot size is below the minimum lot size. Yeah, depends on your EA. So I just return true here. And now we also want to check against the maximum. We already do this here, so I will just delete this. if lots greater than the maximum allowed volume, we just print lot size greater than maximum allowed volume. We also print out here the values, and we return false. In this case, I would return false because, yes, something is probably not right with the calculation, and you don't want to risk more than the maximum volume. Okay, so return false. And last thing is to set or to check the step size. So we want to set the volume to the minimum step that is allowed for the current symbol. So here we set the lots to math floor. So we round down and we just divide lots by the step value and multiply this by the step value. So this will give you a number with a decimal point. We round this down to the next integer, and then we multiply it by the step. Okay, and that's basically it. We can now delete this line here. So we set it to the step size, and then we return true for this check lots function. Now we can hit compile again. Make sure that you only have the two warnings here, no mistakes. And now the only thing left is that we call the function calculate lots here in our EA, where we open the position here. So I will delete the comment here. And yeah, now we have new parameters. So first of all, the order type. This is here order type by. Next, we have the open price. The open price here is last tick. We want to open a buy position here. So last tick ask. The price stop loss is our stop loss. We already calculated here. And the last parameter here is the lots. We also have this variable here. So here we will get back the calculated lot size, and then we use it here when we call position open. So that's it for this buy trade. We also do this for the sell side down here. Calculate lots, order type sell, last tick dot bid for the sell position. Price stop loss is the stop loss, and our lots variable. Okay, now we should be able to compile without any mistakes or warnings. Okay, that's good. Okay, now we have our new version here, version 2, and now the last step is to run a few backtests in the MetaTrader 5 platform. Okay, so let's open the strategy tester here. First of all, I want to test this maybe on a forex pair. Doesn't really matter. Maybe one without the Japanese yen. Here the inputs are not important, but it's important that you have based on money. We want to risk 500 per trade, and we need a stop loss to calculate the lot size, of course. So let's just run this in visual mode to get the trade history here in the tester. And we can see the stop loss here was hit for the trade. It's around 500. This is for a buy position, so sell is direction out. Let's also check that this works for a sell position. Yeah, right here. So 500 is the risk. That's correct. Let's also test this for a Japanese yen pair, because Yeah, the decimal points here are different for Japanese yen, but this also looks great. And I also want to check this for a commodity. So let's test this for gold. Here, also 500. And we can see stop loss here, 500 buy and sell here. Okay, last thing, I want to test this on the German 40 index. And yeah, now I will show you the inputs again. This is the backtest I showed you in the beginning of the video, but this is not really about a strategy or strategy development. So I will just use these inputs, press start, and you can see 500. Okay, and I also want to check the percentage option. So if you risk 1% of the account for each trade, this should also work. Okay, now I deselected the virtual mode. So 1% should be 1K because we start with a 100K account here in the strategy tester. Yeah, and we can see the risk is 1K. Okay, so this works. I will let the backtest run one last time here. And if you have any questions about the coding part, let me know in the comments. The code is also available on my website if you just want to save some time. Of course, you can code this for free here with this tutorial, and also my other codes I show here on YouTube are on my website. If you have any questions about algo trading, let me know in the comments. If you don't want to miss the next videos, we will code some more stuff here on the channel, a volume profile, we will code fair value gaps in the next videos. Subscribe, and I just wish you a great weekend. Bye bye.